Hello, beautifuls. I had a professor once who used the term, turn your scars into stars. And he's like, I hate that saying, but there is truth in it. And I was having a conversation with my sister not too long ago, and we were talking about some of the experiences we had as children. And as many of you know, there was substantial amount of trauma in our childhood, but we weren't complaining about it. And in this particular conversation, it was mentioned how we gained some very valuable tools from that experience. And one in particular we were talking about was our ability to read people and to read energy. And for many people, that is the case, right? Once they've experienced trauma, they, especially at a young age, they are fantastic at reading people and reading energy. And so much so that they lose themselves. And often in this place, they are so focused on the outside energy, right? Trying to defend themselves, protect themselves from the world, that they are always looking for negative energy. And in that place, they are still very, very attuned, but that wouldn't be a star. That would be the scar, carrying the scar. It becomes a star when you do the inner work, you start doing the healing. You still have that ability to read the energy, but now you're reading the energy in a different way. You are not looking for the negative, but your radar goes off the moment a denser energy, a negative energy, a less helpful energy shows up. And you are more in line with looking for the energy that supports you. Now, when I started doing this work, I slowly became aware that I had a gift. And I used it, not proud to say it, but I used it in very, very manipulative ways. You know, my sister was saying, she's like, you know, it's so funny, we learned how if you just turned a certain way, just smiled a certain way, you can get people to do what you want. And that was exactly what we learned. And until we started doing our work, we used those scars to, what we thought, keep us safe and to get what we needed. Now, in doing the work, it was a very different experience for me. And the reason I'm doing this video is because there's so much talk about empaths and what is an empath, and oh, it's such a curse to be an empath, and I can't go into large crowds, and I have to do a 3-hour ritual before I go out and when I come home in order to keep my energy safe. And I'm not belittling that. I am just saying that that does not have to be the experience. That there is a way that you can work through your trauma, even if it wasn't from trauma, even if you just have this ability and it rules your life, there's a way to work through that, to use it consciously. Because when we are in that place where we're being swamped and overrun by energies that are not our own, we don't have an energetic boundary. Plain and simple, right? And when we work on that, then we can ascertain what is ours and what is somebody else's. And so I will relate my experience when I first started doing this work. One of the practices, I was with this teacher, and she took me out into a forest, because that's my safe place, and we're walking, and she asked me to call my energy back to me. And I had no idea that my energy was everywhere else except for where I was, until she asked me to do that. And the moment I tried to call my energy back, instead of feeling empowered, because our energy belongs to us, I felt terrified. I said to her, I don't feel safe. My energy needs to be out there. And she said, why? And I said, because I need to know what's going on. I need to be safe. And she's like, but you're not safe. The moment that your energy is all out there, you're giving your energy to everybody else, and you don't even know what's going on inside of you. Bam! That hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's not like, oh, just the next day I was able to do that. It was a practice of calling my energy back, keeping my energy centered. And the more that I did that, the more powerful I became, and I started to feel. And the less that I felt like I had to control and manipulate others. Don't get me wrong, my radar is still there. I know what other people want. But I don't have to play in a game to acknowledge it or address it. Right? My energy is centered. And in this place where many people have experienced trauma when they're young, it has had them become highly attuned to this energy outside of them. And they are walking outside and they become bombarded by everybody else's energy, everybody else's fear, everybody else's sadness. And they lose track of their own happiness. And the beautiful thing is when you learn to call that energy back and you have an energetic boundary, you are not bleeding, others do not bleed on you. Your happiness is not controlled by the outside world, and your happiness influences, radiates the outside world. That's when you start, that's when you start living your purpose, because your purpose here is to expand and create more love, to create out of love, to connect out of love. And when we have our energies outside of ourselves, we can't do that. I thank you so much for listening to this perspective today. And as always, until we speak again, please be well.